Welcome to the Seattle Female Forum, presented by WA Golf and Toyota, right here in the PGD Global Virtual Country Club. And this is a Project Fairway production. We are trying to get more women into the game, giving them more access. And this panel is called The Drive, Getting to Your Next Destination in Golf. And we have two lovely women joining us today who have been in the industry, been shaping the industry in the state of Washington and leaving their sparkly presence everywhere. Please welcome Kelli Kamimura and MaryLou Mulflur. Kelli, I want to get in. I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. And of course, this is kind of a little special treat because you guys go back, right? So Coach Mulflur, you coached Kelli, right? Back in the day.
I did back in the day, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you get to see Kelli come into her own and become her own coach.
Yeah, and that's even more exciting, just to watch what she's done over at Washington State and the way she coaches and the way she interacts with her players. It's been really fun to watch her grow as a coach professionally.
That's amazing. Kelli, did you take any tips?
Oh, for sure. I think just playing for, I call her Mary, but playing for Mary, it was such a great experience that I think it was really something that for me, I'd never thought about college coaching before being a college golfer, but the passion that, MaryLou brings to everything she does was really inspiring and really set an example for, being able to make a career out of, coaching. And so she's really inspirational to me, means a lot to me, and has been such a great mentor throughout, being a player and a coach. So it's really a special relationship that I really cherish.
How does it feel, Coach Mulflur, when you're able to see one of your students, your student athletes that you've mentored and pushed to be successful through the game of golf, and now she's right here, right? In kind of your competitor, if you will, right?
Right. We're peers, but yeah, fellow competitors, whatever you want to call it. But we're both trying to do the same thing, which is to grow the game and help these young women become the best version of themselves. And so it's really fun to be alongside her and like I said, to watch her grow. And she's just done a fantastic job.
Both you lovely women, coaches, you have to get up every morning and tend to your golf programs. Tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like as you move and as you prepare for the season. Because for those of you out there that don't know, we have 2 seasons in golf, right? There's a lot of women out there watching, kind of getting to know what's Washington golf like, what's it about. Collegiately, we play in 2 seasons. How do you prepare for those seasons day in and day out with the players, and then just, your responsibilities?
Sure, I can lead us off. I think, every day it's waking up with an intention on how are you going to really help your student athletes on the golf course, in the classroom, and in life. And it's really waking up and being intentional with different ways that you can do that, whether it's through practice or, making sure they're completing their academic responsibilities, and then really help preparing them for what's next after college golf. And so every season, we have our fall season, where a lot of that is the day-to-day, the workouts, the practices, the meetings, checking in, the competing, and all of that preparations leading up to tournaments that we have in the fall and the spring. I think in the off season, it's switching hats. It's helping, recruit the next generation of players you're going to have come in and making sure they have the values and will be a good fit for the program. But also helping your players that want it with what the rules allow, maintain their practice and their development in the summer and in those 3 areas, golf, academics, and as a person. So it's really, I think, more about setting an intention and making sure that the passion to do that is there, because at times it's trying. We've got 18 to 22-year-olds and keeping everyone on the bus, and working towards the same mission can be challenging, but it's also exciting. And it's an opportunity too to really grow the game and make sure that, for me, part of what, and for MaryLou as well, I know this firsthand, is how do I help my players love golf so they keep playing after they're done with college, and they're using that skill set as something that they have that can be an asset to them in the future. So it's a lot of hats day to day. But it's a lot of fun, and it's really just helping people grow to be the best version of themselves.
Sums it up. The one thing you said though, you said you have to get up. Well, we get to get up every morning.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's challenging, but I mean, gosh, I feel like I've never worked a day in my life. I mean, my hair wasn't always this color, but at the same time, I've enjoyed every minute of this privilege I've had of coaching. But Kelly's right. Every day you just get up and you try to figure out, how can I help them? And that has to be your intent every day. So you put your attention on your intention, so to speak. And so, how is it that I can make them a better player? How can I help them academically? How can I help them prepare them for life after college? Because 99% of the players that you have, they're not going to make their living playing professionally. They might do it some other way in the business, or they might use golf in their business, whatever that might be. So they have to be prepared for that in some way, shape, or form. And so that love for the game, I think, is really important, because it's going to help them later on. They might not know it at the time if they're struggling with their love of the game or what have you, but it's at some point in their life, it's going to be a benefit to them. I mean, it's already been a way to get through college and whatnot, but it's just that challenge of, how can I grow that person, and how can I help them, like I said earlier, be the best version of themselves on and off the golf course.
And something that MaryLou, that MaryLou instilled in me too, is not being afraid to win. And I think a lot of times, you get players that come in and wanting to win, or winning it, finding success can be a little bit scary, because it's, what if I fail? So a lot of what we do is is that we try to help them learn that wanting to win, and it's okay if you don't, but let's shoot for the stars and let's work towards that. And so what if you don't? But not being afraid to really go after what you want, I think, is something that is a fun part of our job, but can be a little bit challenging to really instill that mindset. But it's an opportunity, and it's fun, because it's not just for golf. It works in school and life after college golf, and whatever they pursue. So that's part of something that I've really given a little bit more attention to lately, because it's part of being successful at life.
I think that not being afraid to win is such a good, just like you said, like, piece of advice in general, because sometimes we were kind of just talking about this, in my golf career as a junior, I struggled, right? I struggled with my identity. I struggled just trying to get comfortable. And it took me a while to get rid of that fear. So I can relate to that particular piece. In working with your student athletes, they're young women coming out of high school, you do have a very large responsibility to sort of take care and make sure that, they're upbeat. What are some things that you do to help your players stay driven, stay focused?
Yeah, just having that love for the game, and like you said, there are going to be times when you don't feel like it. And we've always kind of had the policy of, hey, if you need to take a mental health day and you just can't get yourself to the right frame of mind to practice, take the day off. What good is it going to do for you to be there and be miserable? And so trying to keep that love alive, so to speak, and constantly checking with them on how they're doing. COVID was debilitating for some people, really. And so I think the mental health aspect has been more prominent. I think Kelly would agree this last year or two than ever before. And it's great to see players talk about the challenges that they have. You're seeing it in professional sports that, just because you're winning doesn't mean everything is great.
Right.
And that's okay. And I don't think that's ever been okay before. You know what I mean? That just that well, gosh, you're winning and you have a lot of money or whatever it is, your
Right.
life must be great. And it isn't always that way. Look at Lizette Salas. She's talked about, just being happy and wanting to be out there and loving being out there. And when that's not there, it's hard. Matthew Wolf, another one that just, it's hard. What they do is hard. And being a student athlete is hard. Yes, there's a lot of advantages. Yes, you're well taken care of. Yes, it opens doors for you, but that doesn't make it easy. That old saying, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And such a small portion of the population plays in college at a high level, and so they need to feel like they're in a good place. So trying to keep it fun, trying to keep it light. I mean, I'll do stupid stuff like start a squirt gun fight in a practice round where it's hot, or make them skip through the parking lot, or, just anything to kind of keep a smile on their face and make sure that they're doing okay.
Can you tell everybody how long you've been coaching at University of Washington?
38 years. I like to say I was a player coach at 12. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, but I've had the privilege of coaching at my alma mater, and I just finished, I think, 38 years. So it's just like I said, I don't have to. I get to get up every day and do this work, so to speak.
That's incredible. You are definitely part of women's collegiate golf history. And a little sidebar, I heard a little rumor that NBC is going to start to cover more golf on television next year, so including collegiate golf. So,
oh, awesome!
Hopefully, we get to see you both strut down the fairway.
I don't know if strut's the right word, but we'll be out there.
Yeah.
Kelli, tell us about how you keep your players driven.
I think it depends on every group. Every team has a little bit of a different, something different that brings that energy. We've done things like read the energy, we read the energy bus and talk about what that means, focusing on getting 1% better. So even on those hard days, are you doing something that helps you get just 1% better that day? But then I've had groups, it's like before the rounds, they want to do a dance party. Then the next year they're like, please no dance party. That does, before we tee off. We've done, we had a practice round on Easter this year. So we did marshmallow long drive, just amongst the team and the coaches, just with peeps actually, but just like trying to keep things. I think you're always trying to make sure that they're serious about their intention, but in what they're doing, but they're not taking themselves or sometimes outcomes too seriously, that they're really focused on the big picture and their why and what their purpose is, and just helping kind of infuse their work with energy, and just like MaryLou said, just letting them know that you care and you're there and that you value them for their golf, but also and who they are in the classroom, but also really just for who they are as people, and that they can truly trust you want the best for them because you're really authentic and wanting them to be the best they can be.
No, that's great. I know that, young minds are obviously very impressionable, and, sometimes, shooting a score that maybe isn't, comparable or in contention can kind of get in the minds, and you question yourself, right? So it's important. You guys have such an important role to reel them back in, let them know golf's a game where you can get back up and you have another opportunity the next day. One of the things I wanted to chat with you about, both of you, was share your experiences on what recruiting is like now. So after COVID, and we're coming back, we're recruiting players. How has the process changed of recruiting, and what are you looking for as you recruit for years to come?
It's recruiting is, first of all, it's never ending, and it was really strange not to be able to go out and watch players from, March when COVID started until just a few weeks ago, literally. So it was 15 months you could not see anyone play golf. So, and in golf, you could just sit at your desk and recruit. You could just look at the scores and contact the best players by number, right? But I think in college golf that your team is so small that the personality of the players is so important. And the only way you can really get a handle on that is by watching them and seeing how they manage themselves and how they interact with people. And, and COVID honestly kind of forced you to do that without the golf part, whether it was a Zoom call, just taking the time to get to know them better. But I think nothing about recruiting is easy in my mind, because it's a constant, it's going forever, always. It never ends. You're always comparing yourself to someone else. And it can be really, really challenging, and it can be exhausting mentally, because you're constantly having to be up, quote unquote, you want to be on.
Mhm.
Everyone puts their best foot forward in recruiting, student athletes, coaches, parents, swing coaches, whoever it is. And so it can be exhausting from a mental or emotional standpoint. That being said, I love the one-on-one of recruiting. I like getting to know the players, kind of seeing how they are, how they handle themselves. And, players often get nervous. Oh gosh, there's a coach, you're going to come and watch me. What if I don't play well? And our response is, well, I kind of hope you don't, because I want to see how you handle it.
Yeah.
It's easy to watch somebody shoot 72, right? But it's when they shoot 76 or 78 or whatever, and they're,
Right.
not too happy about it, then you kind of get to see what they're all about.
For me, I think recruiting, it's a process. It's never ending, like MaryLou shared. I think for me, um, it's really about finding someone who's a good fit to come and be part of our golf family, and I think it's exciting with the COVID, year that a lot of athletes are taking, that they can stay a little bit longer and get some time back to help develop, because that's one of the hardest parts is that, you're recruiting these athletes and you work with them so intimately, but for 4 years, and then they move on to do whatever is next for them. And so it's a gift to have a little extra time to help them develop, some to see if they want to take golf to the next level, others maybe they want to pursue another degree. It's all in that preparation for the next step, and also being in the present so they can focus on what they're accomplishing in that moment. But I think it's fun to get to know different people. It's also heartbreaking sometimes when you really forge a great connection with someone and then it's like, oh, nope, that's not going to work. And you're like, okay, and you've spent this time developing a relationship, but it wasn't meant to be. So
Mhm.
then, you move on to what's next. But I think it's always kind of cultivating this family environment and mixing different people, because it truly is a team. As we all know from our experiences, a golf team's like a family. You get along great, you're gelling, and then sometimes there's little things that go on that you're managing, but you're all working together for a common goal. So it's who are you bringing in that's going to help propel that mission. And so it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, because it also gives me an opportunity to kind of stay present with music and TV, and like connecting, like, oh, what's on Netflix, and asking the players, what are you watching, and maybe I'm watching some shows on Netflix that I wouldn't watch otherwise. So it's a lot of fun, but it's a process that I think authenticity is the most important thing. Like MaryLou was saying, we're so reliant on, people are putting their best foot forward, and that's great because it's a new relationship, right? But at the same time, are people being truly authentic with who they are, what they stand for, and what they're going to do? Because it's not going to work if they get there and it's different.
With the growth of women's golf happening, and we're seeing it, and it's exciting. We want to make sure that, as young women are entering the junior space, entering that, amateur space right before their collegiate, possibilities. What's some advice? And I know both of you have worked with, many parents, right? And so what's some advice that you could give some parents out there, to help their young girl get to the collegiate space? What should she do?
Well, first of all, she needs to love it.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, you can't force these kids to love something that they don't love. And I have said it more than one time I've been asked to speak about this subject is, you know, if you are forcing them to do this, they're going to hate golf, but more importantly, they're going to hate you. And it just, I cannot make that strong enough point. They have to love it, you know. And so if they love it, then it becomes just a journey that you get to go on with them, right?
Mhm.
I always tell kids, have fun, you know, and for parents, get them in tournaments. You know, it's all about competing. So take them to the best tournaments that they can afford to play in. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're competing. And like Kelly said earlier, don't be afraid to fail. It's okay. Golf is a game of failure. You know, I mean, not everybody can win. There's 262 teams at the Division I women's level. Only one team gets to win, you know. So you have to take the joy in getting better, in the process of getting better. And if you kind of can keep them focused on their process and what they're doing, you know, getting 1% better every day, as Kelly said, and just focusing on how they can improve and not comparing themselves to other people, you know, because golf is, you know, again, golf, you could shoot 65 and lose, you can shoot 82 and win. You just don't know. So keeping that love alive and just tending to your process, making sure that they're focusing on them and not worrying about all the outside distractions and all the noise, so to speak.
Yep, absolutely. Coach Kamimura, tell us your thoughts around, you know, parents and what they can do to help get their young girl into the game and go through that journey.
I think it's just, again, it's about having fun, finding the joy. But I think sometimes for parents, it's separating their child as whatever sport they're competing in to who their child is. So making sure that it's something that they do, it's not who they are. And looking, I think in golf, the best thing about our sport is that you can play forever. So it's, you know, making sure, I think so many times college golf is somewhat the end goal, but it's like, whoa, you know, let's build your love of the game and you can play this game for a really long time, you know, if you want to. And so I think it's really looking at the longevity of how long you can play the game and building that love over time and knowing that there's ups and downs and not, you know, setting an end goal that's really short of the finish line, you know, when it comes to being a golfer. And again, I think important to just really recognize you know, your daughter for who they are and that golf is something that they do. And that I think cultivates a lot of fun and a lot of good energy around, you know, helping your daughter establish who they are and what they want from the game.
What are some good programs that you would suggest, like in the Washington State, you know, entirety? What are some maybe baby steps that parents can do to get their young girls into the game?
First tee.
First team. Mhm.
First tee is, I think it is unbelievable what they do, you know, every day. And they have kind of made the blueprint to make golf fun, to make it accessible. Um, I would say that. And then Washington Junior Golf here in the state does a great job with programs from, you know, beginners all the way up. So those are the first two that come to mind for me.
You know, for me, it's not even so much about programming as it is for just getting them swinging the club and getting comfortable holding a golf club, you know, getting them out on the golf course, keeping it fun, you know, kind of ingraining that in part of who they are and making sure it's not in a place that they feel intimidated. You know, I think that's a big part. And even as a parent, you know, not being intimidated, taking your child to the golf course, you know, really just introducing them to the game, keeping it fun, playing different games, you know, putting, I mean, anything you can do, and then finding anything that other kids are involved in. I think whether it's camps or, you know, really anything that they can be amongst their peers as well and playing the game, I think is really what keeps it fun and fresh.
I want to, you know, one of our main goals with Project Fairway is really educating parents, young women, young girls about the game of golf? What is a really good practice session for you? If we were to have a week scheduled, let's say you're not traveling, like how many times a week would you maybe play 18 or practice? What's a good like routine, would you say, in a week to prepare for a tournament?
Well, at the college level, that first of all, the rules, right? You're only allowed to practice 20 hours a week, or command practice 20 hours a week, no more than 4 hours a day. You have to give them a day off every week. So you are limited with what you can do at the college level. Um, Personally, I feel like when we play, it should be meaningful. So if we're going to play a round of golf, it's going to count for something, qualifying for the next tournament or what have you. We rarely play a round that doesn't have quote unquote something on the line. So we might play twice a week, and then we might practice twice a week where we just work a ton on short game. They might do some swing maintenance, just, making sure they're where they want to be. But a lot of short game drills, and drills doesn't mean you have to finish it. It might just be something you're going to try just to get repetitions in. But making things challenging. I know Kelly, when she was a player, I think it was, you would take 2 balls or 3 balls around, and you had to get them all up and down. She was a great practicer. And so having things that challenge you, having things that, don't make it so easy that you can do it right away, and sometimes even if you don't complete it, that's okay. You're learning. And that's the most important thing, is that you're learning something in the game. So those, and that can take a lot of different forms, whether it's putting drills or chipping drills or games or challenges or match play. There's a lot of different ways you can do that, but keeping them challenged, I think, goes a long way for especially at that level.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Kelly, I mean, if you do this, I would always take 3 balls and play games with myself, just because, get it, all 3 have to get up and down.
Yep.
Otherwise you have to start all over again. Otherwise it just sort of became repetitive, and maybe I was working on muscle memory, or I was thinking about a boy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I would always, love to play those games because it kept me in the moment, right? And it kept me focused. But yeah, share with us, and also too, you're not only, an amazing practicer, Kelly, you're an amazing junior player. I know we were talking about this before we went live. You had an incredible junior career, an incredible collegiate career. So a thing or two about how to practice and prepare.
Well, thank you. But I think for me, it's just all about keeping that learner's mindset. So every practice, knowing that I'm going to practice because I want to get better, not just to, get reps in, or really just to be out there. It's like, okay, what's my intention? And really using stats a lot, or maybe where my game is at right now, to really look at what is it that I is really going to benefit me. Sometimes it's playing. Like sometimes I'm like, I just need to get the ball in the hole, so I'm going to get out and just keep playing and focusing on maybe if it's game plan stuff, going at more pins or backing off a little bit. But the thought for me with practice has always been that the closer I am to the hole, the more important it is to practice, whether it starts with putting. So how much time am I spending on meaningful putting drills, that are helping me build confidence? And then chipping, if I'm comfortable with chipping and getting up and down, it takes pressure off me when I'm in the fairway, so I'm like, okay, if I miss, it's fine. I can still get up and down. And then obviously tee shots, because you got to get the ball in play, and then approach shots. So I've always based my practices off of that, but also for the team, it's more of that. It's like, okay, how much are we spending on 100 yards and in versus the longer game, making sure players aren't getting stuck, focused just on the range, that they're like, okay, if you're uncomfortable with the way you're striking the ball, the best place you can build confidence is with your short game, because obviously you're going to be chipping more. So, okay, let's not avoid it. Let's go embrace it. But I think just drills that are fun. And some days it's like, I think the biggest thing I see is whatever your intention is to go and complete that day, whether it's a drill that you might not complete, but you set a time limit, like whatever your intention is that day, make sure you complete it, because that's what you want to get in the habit of, is finishing, whether it's your round or your practice or your drill, what that intention was. So like MaryLou said, you might have a drill that's super hard and you're like, okay, I'm going to set a time limit and I'm done when I'm at that time limit, but making sure you're completing what your intention was for the day. Because I think that's a really important part, because the thing about golf is the feelings aspect, right? So sometimes people walk away from like, I was going to do this at practice today, but I'm heading home, I'm not feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you can't walk away from a competitive golf round. What if you're not feeling it? So you want to practice what that feels like and accomplish it and find a way to turn it around and get better.
I love that mindset. Kelli, MaryLou, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your knowledge, your spirit, your motivation, your drive. Washington golf is very special. I know there's a lot of love and passion for the game in your state. Before we leave, I do want to ask one thing, okay? I want one word. What would you tell the next up and coming LPGA star? In one word, what does she need to have?
Passion.
I would say joy. Like, you just got to love what you do and you've got to be excited. You want to wake up excited. And like MaryLou shared, that you get to do this, you don't have to do this. And so really being joyful that you have the skill set that you can go out there and compete at that level, and not taking that for granted.
I love that. I love that. I know that everybody's learned so much today from you both. And hopefully we see the continued growth of women's golf in Washington. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you. It was our pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you soon. Make birdies out there.
Okay.
Okay.
Move it, take it up, get it, light it up.